Morning, guys. I'm going to briefly discuss a topic I was asked to present and give you my opinion on the significance behind holidays in general. Not necessarily just occult holidays, but holidays in general, which are all occult holidays. Everything around you has been influenced by the occult. From the words that you speak, to the numbers that you write, to the currency that you spend, to the schools you send your children to the people you worship. Everything goes all the way back to ancient Babylon and prior. Now, what most people don't realize is that from the very beginning of time, there was two competing dichotomies in this world. And Christians will call them Yahweh and Satan. Every religion has their terminology for it. And what I'm going to do is try to break things down in a way that it's going to make sense to the average person. Because my beliefs on this whole thing are a lot deeper than I have time to explain in one video. And on top of that, the amount of information I would have to give you in order for you to understand where I'm coming from would take you like 3 years to research and understand fully. It's just going to go over your head if I try to go in depth like that. I don't want to confuse people because the main point behind all of this is rather easy to grasp, whereas the why it happened the way that it happened is very difficult to comprehend, even though it's also very easy to grasp. So from the beginning of time, every human being has searched for meaning. That's one thing that is inherent within all of us, unless you are deficient in one way or another, and that's by design as well. Don't think for a minute that the reason we have mental disabilities and narcissism as well as psychopaths, that's all part of the game. That's all part of the grand illusion. That's not a natural occurrence, okay? So what does the Bible say the sky was designed to do? It's to act as a clock to tell time and seasons. It also informs you very clearly in the book of Enoch that the firmament above your head is full of luminary bodies that have consciousness. And it's very easy to come to this realization if you take Revelation literally, because Revelation tells you that the luminaries are going to fall from the sky. Now, there's no way, if you take the scientific model into account, that you could ever reconcile that with Revelation, or there'd be no way that we would ever be able to survive that happening. Now, these luminary bodies are up there for a reason. They have jobs. They're not supposed to leave their circuit. Okay? Now, there's a reason for this, because everything in the very beginning was in harmony. It was all balanced. Think about a helicopter blade, right? If a helicopter blade is rotating around your head and it's perfectly balanced, you have absolutely nothing to worry about, okay? Now, as soon as that rotor gets more than just a few grams off a kilter, it's going to create some serious vibration issues and lead to some serious problems for you. And let's just say you're not going to make it if you're anywhere near that helicopter. Now, what are all of the occult holidays based on? They're based on astronomical anomalies. They're based on these luminaries aligning in certain ways that one can easily tell have an effect on our existence. For example, the moon and sun rotating above your head in the flat earth model perfectly explains the tidal forces based upon vortex formation. It's very easy to demonstrate in experiments. However, this is nothing more than a proof that the bodies above your head have the ability to affect everything around you. Now, like I said, a lot of these occult holidays are based on the system above your head, and they worship certain entities, luminaries, at certain times of the year because those luminaries have more influence over the population, over every living force on this plane. It makes a lot of sense when you really start to think about it. So there's no way around it when it comes down to actual observation. Now you run into other kinds of anomalies in the sky, like comets. These things that don't seem to be on a regular circuit. They are irregular. Now, a lot of stuff happens to people when these things come into occurrence. And it's absolutely astonishing that the heliocentric model tells us these objects are so far away, but these objects clearly have an effect on the realm we live in. For example, did you know that the occult pendulum, which is supposed to supposedly prove that the Earth rotates, which it doesn't, that's besides the point, when there is a full lunar eclipse, that thing starts acting all sorts of weird. It starts doing figure 8 movements. It starts doing all sorts of weird stuff that's absolutely unexplainable. Now, if you look at a lot of these ancient societies, they're sun worshippers. They worship the sun, and the entire structure of their society revolved around the sun, which is why they developed the system later on to have the Earth revolve around the sun. That itself is spiritual too. See, they know damn well that we're not actually rotating around the sun. But you see, the mind is a very powerful thing. If you can manage to manipulate the entire population into believing that they rotate around the sun, you're subconsciously tricking them into worshiping the very sun itself, which is what science is. Science is a Helios religion. It's sun worship. And there's no coincidence that the same people who are supporting science, Bill Gates, yada, 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 etc., all these philanthropists, are also contributing to the death of 1.72 billion babies through abortion. Now, I'm sorry to bring this up and tie it in, but it directly pertains to these holidays. Because you know what they used to do on solar and lunar eclipses? They used to sacrifice children, okay? This is all sun worship. This is all occult practice. This is all ritual for these people. And what they've done is they've bastardized the Jewish calendar and the Jewish holidays, the Hebrew holidays. I'm not even going to call them Jewish because they're Hebrew holidays. They're the holidays of the original tribe of Israel. The only holidays that really matter, but they've distorted our clock with the Gregorian calendar and all of this other stuff to the point where it's completely out of line with what's actually going on above our heads. And that right there throws our vibration out of whack because we're celebrating on the wrong days. We're putting our faith. So by making us celebrate Christmas on a different day than it originally was, our energy is being given to a different luminary above your head. And that's true. There's no way around it. Astrology is not a gimmick. Astrology is probably more scientific than science. Because I'm telling you right now, there's something to astrology. People that understand astrology completely understand that you don't use the Gregorian calendar in order to calculate these kind of things. You don't. You just don't. I've come to realize that a lot of these people you see practicing the traditional Sabbaths and the Jubilees and stuff like this that have gone back to the old calendar are definitely raising their vibration to a different level than the world around them. And that's what everything is. It's all energy. So what you decide to put your energy into will manifest inside this world. So the main point of what I'm trying to get at is, if they've convinced us to put our worship into something at the wrong time in the cycle, our energy is not being given to who we want it to be given to. And on top of that, the fact that they've conditioned all of us into believing science over God, we are now worshiping the sun over our Creator and giving energy to the opposite side of the system than we should, which is exactly how we've got ourselves to where we are today. Like I said, it's a very easy concept to grasp if you can understand that the world isn't what they presented to you. I hope this answers your questions, man. I'd love to do a Google Hangout with you one-on-one and actually sit down and talk about some stuff, because, like I said, everything seems to tie together, and the fact that you requested me to talk about this lets me know that we're on the same wavelength. Hit me up, man. Like I said, I'd love to talk. Everybody else who listened to this, I hope you found something informative in it.